The Pyramid Group of the Egyptian Studies Society will be in Cairo, Egypt to begin an investigative, in-depth study of as many of the ancient pyramids as time will allow. There are 6 of us from Denver: Ann and Bob Lowdermilk, Dave Pepper, Dennis McDonald, Bruce Rabe, and Frank Petie make up the Denver contingent. All of us are also members of the American Research Center in Egypt. We anticipate 10 days in the Cairo environs where most of the pyramids were constructed. Then Ann, Bob, and I will split off and tour Upper Egypt on a 7-day Nile trip, plus a flight to Abu Simbel. Go ahead.
All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
The highway construction. Yeah.
Well, there's the bird, an MD-80, the same as a DC-9, I believe. So here we are in Cairo. After a few trials and tribulations, delays in airplanes, taken to the wrong hotel, but this is quite the most beautiful hotel I think I've ever been in. With all of the amenities. There's the Nile out there. And looking the other way now, the traffic circle coming up off of the bridge, with all the noise that accompanies it. I'm on the 25th floor of the Sheraton Giza, and of course there's the Nile over there. We all have a balcony. The Lowdermilks are just 1 floor below me here. Poor Dennis, he didn't make it. He got bumped on the airplane, so I understand he's back in Denver. Cairo in the morning from my room on the 25th floor in the Sheraton. I don't think the hustle and bustle stopped all night long here. And we think we've got smog in Denver. Take a look out over here. They're burning off the cane fields now, and this has given us quite a bit of smog. And this is looking east over the Nile. We're on the west side of Giza. Split. That's the island in the middle of it, and then this is part of the Nile right here, coming down. Looks more like a canal. No feluccas out this morning. There's some rowing clubs. There's quite a few of them around here. Police rowing club, several of them. Now there's the group of us. And of course, inside of the Queen's chamber, I don't know if it's too dark to come out or not. Just off of it, east side of the pyramid. And a temple down there. Thieves' entrance and the main entrance to the Great Pyramid. And the sun just about capping it. And the whole pyramid was faced with this at the time that it was completed. And it's a smooth facing that the Arabs have taken for their mosques in the modern times. Inside of the pyramid, you can't even put a knife blade in between the stones, but here they're a little bit rough cut yet for the facing. People's games. Yeah, the gang's up there someplace. And still doing excavating. This is around the Queen's place. All by hand, the old-fashioned way. And that's where the solar boat is in the museum. And then on up the Great Pyramid. And on over to the Middle Pyramid.
Slightly disoriented. This is the back of the Sphinx's head.
That's the back of the Sphinx's head right there.
Where is his back then?
The back is clear. See, it's even with the rest of the cliff. And you can't see it there, but it's even with the rest of the cliff.
So we're actually...
And then that's a cemetery back over there, a fairly modern cemetery at Dashur. And see if I can bring it up. Now there they are, way off over there. Memphis is in between us and those pyramids, but you can.
How far is that?
That's. It looks like we got a camel market down here, just below the pyramids. To explain what you think you see?
Oh, I think these are just the people that work up around the pyramids. They have little sales carts for food and everything. And this is their restaurant.
And this is in the Mena House. Once again for Chow, that's Tim and Dave, Bruce, and that's Ann and Bob and Harriet in Massachusetts, I believe she said.
There were guns, which is they killed a lot more people, which was relatively late. They killed a lot more people and cared less about it.
They're making a movie up on top, and this is a military helicopter that keeps going over. Maybe this one will turn out all right. The sun just behind the pyramid. Investigating part of one of the Queen's pyramids just in front of the Great Pyramid. Some of them are really getting technical. And this shows a side and kind of back of the Sphinx. It shows also that how it was just carved right down out of the cliff. It wasn't built up. Right there. And here comes the helicopter across again.
I took that.
And this is Giza from the pyramids. And clear across the skyscrapers, I imagine the other side of the Nile, which would be Cairo. They tell us they're making a movie. They must be trying to blast the top off of this in the movie. This is a Western cemetery, and all of these are tombs that are being excavated right at the present time. All of this whole area here is eventually going to be excavated. Zahi Hawas's office is right over there in that old building. We'll see him in just about an hour. He'll be back. This is another one of the tombs here. It's amazing how 3,000 to 4,000 years that writing is still here out in the open.
Good. Okay.
Explain some more. Your voice is good. Hey.
I'll be a guide without a license.
No. Just read that. That's all. You can read it.
We're supposed to see Dr. Hawas at 11 o'clock, so we thought we'd go and look around a little bit.
And what's that up at the
My
top?
name is Bruce. Bruce
I don't know.
Bruce.
Muhammad.
Nice to meet you.
Bruce?
Yes,
Go over there and tell me what's on the
I'm
top.
Bob
Nice
Lowdermilk.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Point to it.
This is offering. This is Isis. Let's see. I haven't read any of this stuff in a long time. This is Session Nefer, which I guess is the guy's name. He's the architect. See the Nefer sign?
Uh-huh.
And there he is over there again.
Oh, I see what you mean.
So he would be with
Pettee.
Petie or one of those guys.
Yeah.
But they're pyramid there.
No.
And there's Bob taking pictures of the construction of the mastaba. And this is Dr. Hawas's offices. We're waiting for him now. He hasn't come back yet. This is just north of the Great Pyramid. Go.
The
Well, we
Pharaoh
won't be
Dennis
able to hear Dennis, but
has returned.
Harriet, go ahead and talk.
No, go ahead, Dennis, talk.
No, Dennis's voice won't pick up on this. He's too far away. You get up here, Harriet.
Put your hands on your knees. Yeah, put the hands both hands on your knees. I got the camera in the other hand. Well, you can put her down.
Well, you're a modern Pharaoh.
There you go.
And as you can see,
On your knees. On your knees.
Dennis finally made
There
it.
you go.
There we go.
Tip your head up.
Is that sexual harassment?
Oh, no smiles. You got to look.
Sure, your feet are missing.
Not enough, that's fine.
Anything you can see in that one?
There's a nice inscription over the door.
Yeah, I can see that, but I mean, is there anything in the door inside?
W.
Look at the
And the offering, the funerary formula.
prayer right here.
Hetepheres Anpu. Offering, yeah, it's an offering. It's to Anubis instead of.
Excuse me.
And there's Snefer's cartouche again, but
Yeah, it is
I
different.
like the
Sideways.
jackal with his tail.
yeah, that's Anubis.
Is that Anubis?
Yeah, that's the funerary prayer, and it's normally made to Osiris, so it'll have that little throne thing, but this time it's to Anubis.
And this is a temple of some sort. if I can hold the camera steady. Okay. And this is the Sphinx in front of the Khafres.
It's Sphinx and Khafre, second one pyramid.
Yes.
The Sphinx is only one piece.
Okay.
Sphinx is only one piece. The
Yeah?
Yes.
Yes, very good. Husni Mubarak.
And
Husni Mubarak.
the Sphinx.
Sphinx pyramid.
It's in a good shadow right now, it looks like to me.
I don't know what it is.
The funeral temple.
There, you could tell. You tell yourself.
Funeral temple of Khafres. And another view of him.
Avec les photos de son anniversaire. De mon anniversaire. Les photos où on a pris le chinois.
And you can almost see the stela. I would like to get in on that. The pharaoh who went to sleep here and said to the god that if he could brush away all of the sand, that surely he would be a pharaoh, and it turned out that he was a pharaoh. And of course it was Tutmosis III that set the stele up in remembrance of his dream and clearing away the sand and becoming a pharaoh. You can see how they're redoing the thing. In some cases it's almost too modern, the way they're rebuilding.
This is the Sphinx, only one stone. This is 9 pyramid, 3 Khafre and 6 small.
Right.
And this is the cemetery and museum in the statue here, about 5,000 years. And this is the Sphinx, only one stone, not 3 stone, not 1 stone.
Right.
And this all this statue about 3,000.
And this is the city of Mena that Dr. Hawas is trying to get them to move, because underneath are untold numbers of temples and tombs, and people have built right on top of it. And it's the sewage from these places that's hurting the Sphinx and some of the other things that have waterlogged. The water table is coming up constantly. Go ahead. No, you can go in front.
Oh, no.
That way people, you can prove that you're here.
We know that I at least started to get on the airplane.
This shows some of the restoration that they're doing on the Sphinx. And I think it makes it look too modern. This is the call to prayer. At 4:45.
Just 2 minutes.
Ahmed Mustafa is our guide until Shatta gets back. Shatta's gone over to Dashur to get our permits to get into the military reservation. We'll see Dr. Zahi in just about 2 hours. He'll be here. Right now we're going through the north tomb area. Ahmed is just opening up one of the tombs for us.
I could see that.
None of these tombs are open to the public. So we feel real privileged.
Frank talking.
What would you imagine those paintings were?
Well, these are ceremonial scenes, right? Here's a procession of animals.
The eye is here, and then it's compliment.
The offerings, yeah, offerings are here.
Yeah. Earring.
Like they're even turning the needle.
Yeah, butchering. This is a standard offering scene with the butchering and the bread.
Yeah.
And that's the suit.
net in the suit also.
Is that an oar? What does he have?
It's a
A
spear.
spear. Is this a hunting scheme?
What's the end?
Or fishing?
The end branch.
He's holding, he's got a spear thrown underneath it, maybe?
Let's see, it's four strange, yeah. Well, look at the whole thing. Oh, it is, it's a fork. It's a fork.
It's a fish spear.
Fish spear, yeah.
Ahmed, whose tomb is this?
Yasin. Yasin. Yes.
Oh, okay.
So flash, place.
Place for the
wall.
yeah.
And this scene also represented the honor at the front of the offering table of many kinds of food, and here the least offering. They represented and they written about 100 kind of foods here. This is the offering. It's made, I think, at the Greek Roman period.
Oh,
Robbers.
And the later period. But here, they did the chef.
Right there.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and here's one.
There's the cap.
And still, so many colors still with
I
it.
can see, yeah, I couldn't see it that well.
Look at the way they've restrained the.
And also you must be a priest.
Okay.
Of the king.
Okay. But he, in his
But everybody was a priest. I mean, you know, it was
Yeah,
like that was just
a royal,
common.
yeah. But in his afterlife, then he would also be overseer. So that's why all the animals.
Carrying the big rock.
Court of the
Or big
Right,
something.
okay.
It might be a bale of hay or something.
But this was plastered on here again.
And then
Over something
carved.
else.
Well, it's a blank wall with plaster carved in, right? That's the usual.
But the only trouble is that
They added
this,
plaster to this.
they added the plaster.
See, here's the blank wall,
Yeah.
and it's come off, but there would have been a scene like this.
All right, yeah.
Well,
I wonder, see, this was added, this picture was put on after this plaster was put.
Uh-huh, right there.
And what was in here?
It's unfinished chamber.
There's the cat on
There's
this.
some tool marks in here, Bob.
Well, the direction of the tool marks.
Wow, I mean, it's like.
You guys need a flashlight?
It's a black one, it's unfinished.
Cat chisel or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
There's melting cow.
If you can see, well,
They were
it's
probably
actually,
turning it all the time that they were.
Two to wear even.
here's the different thing. These are closer
The way
together.
they modeled
Oh, they
it.
are
The
more
lips are,
wedge,
you know, the upper lip.
Well, I guess maybe that's. I could-
Okay, say it again.
The dragonfly, and this is a Khufu.
These, or they have just.
And this is the ESS stork, right?
Right.
And a butterfly over there, and a spoonbill probably.
You just please them. You right now.
And then here's the mongoose, and he's going after a little bird's nest.
On his line of lotus.
Right, on a lotus.
You want me to get my measuring device out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And an oryx.
Like this.
And then here's a third
Bob and
kind of
Dave
gazelle that I
measuring.
don't recognize the horns of.
Checking out all the
And it's a jackal
angles and
behind
things.
them.
That's a hyena.
Or a hyena.
See the way the back slopes down like that?
Yeah.
Well, don't some of the jackals slope down too?
No, they're usually
Okay.
more straight.
We should compare this to other tombs and see
See if we can see something.
patterns, yeah.
What is this?
Oh.
We opened here in this place about 15 tombs of the officials. One of them, Session Nefer, was the butcher of the Queen Kiosk. With the overseer, and he was the priest, and he was also the butcher of the King Kiosk.
Say the last
From a fourth dynasty.
Okay, he was also the what of the king?
This is the tomb of Sheshem Nefer II, the butcher for the king, overseer of the scribes of the royal documents, and overseer of all the works of the king. Earlier I mislabeled this as the northern tomb area. Instead it's the western tomb area.
Leave the batter on these. Maybe.
And this is the tomb of Khafre. Looks like the 6th dynasty, about 2350 before BC. He was a priest of the king, inspector of tenants of the great house. And inside is the entrance, offering room, and 2 false doors. And Ahmed is just unlocking the door, or trying to get the door unlocked at any rate.
Have a nice time now.
Then it's going down into where the coffin was.
Gotta change. I want to go back.
Oh, this is beautiful.
You going next,
It's
Tim?
beautiful.
And this is about 30 feet down into the tomb. And his sarcophagus is here. It's so low you can't stand up. There goes Bob down into it.
Yeah, because I want to get that corner where it's chiseled out of the way back.
Boy, what a privilege it is to go into these things. And the tomb we were just down in is the tomb of Kaem, Ankh, the 6th dynasty, about 2350 BC. And he was the priest of the king, inspector of administrators of the treasury.
Is Hetep the Nisu for Anubis and Osiris? Osiris? No.
And that's what it looked like when you went down the shaft and back into the tomb itself.
Okay, but then what's this down here?
And we're still in the western tomb area. You can see that they are still excavating. They've just barely touched. I'm standing on something that's unexcavated too, a mastaba. Probably a tomb from another famous person. And that looks like a tell over there, but actually it's probably tombs that haven't been excavated yet. And the dwarf's tomb, the Dr. Zahi is excavating, is back over the other side of that hill. And this is a restored tomb that he says they've just done in the last 4 months. So he's leaving us in it. And these are some of the workmen's houses. Almost right on top of some of the mastabas. And not far from the pyramids. And Ahmed is unlocking another door for us. And this is a tomb. And there's a Serdar that the top is missing from. And they're restoring quite a few of these old tombs.
Did you ever see that?
I would say that they're pouring beer into the large jars
Fight each other
here.
with cunning force? Yeah, that's what they're doing. It's not
Probably brewing here.
You gotta keep moving it for a minute. That's where I'm looking at.
Some Greek person was here in 1870, it looks like, and
Inside, you got your flashlight?
left a signature or something.
Is that the Serdar?
And this is Petrie's house when he was doing his excavation here.
Well, no, that.
And that was in the late 1800s. Lady is the chief inspector here. And this is the tomb of Queen Hetepheres, the father, or the mother of Khufu. And it goes down over 100 feet. And then back in, and this is where they found her bed, one of the most beautiful beds of ancient Egypt, and it's in the Cairo Museum now. And this is the paving for the causeway for the Great Pyramid of Khufu, all the way down to the Nile.
Yeah?
Like Hawas?
Yeah, like Hawas, right? He's in charge of all the pyramids. If we...
Yeah.
Yeah. That
means emotion.
But Mr. Hawas now the director of the inspectors.
Initial pyramid.
This is the tomb of the keeper of the secrets of the king.
Ancient Egyptian
And the caretaker of all of 3 pyramids. Whose cartouches are all up there.
And if it didn't know,
Also figured by the they also take
Priest
we don't want
with his
exactly
son,
the same every time.
and it shows the old kilt,
14 of them. So you can figure out.
and the others are not wearing the kilts.
Well, I think 50 pounds, 80 pounds.
We were down in the tunnel into the burial chamber of the Queen of Khufu's of the Great Pyramid. One of the pyramids for the Queen had about 4 sarcophagus openings in the bottom. You had to go down about 60 feet at about a 45-degree angle and kind of slippery with dust to get into it. And this is in the tomb of the mother of Khafre.
This is the wife of Khufu, the mother of Khafre, or I'm sorry, the daughter of Khufu, the wife and queen of Khafre, and the mother of Menkaure.
And these are potsherds in the Temple of Unas at Saqqara.
We only have a change in the subject more than one time. So we put an article and get it printed out and everything. And maybe the second day when we get together and have a committee, so we change it again. So we don't like really to announce anything until we became sure that.
And this is the Red Pyramid on Dashur. The permits worked, by golly, and we're on the military reservation. As long as we don't take pictures of anything military, we can go ahead and take pictures here.
This is the mortuary temple here, or a...
They're reworking it, you can see,
Lens on to get that capstone.
on the face.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go wide here somewhere.
This is one pyramid that the angle is approximately 42 degrees instead of the usual 52 degrees. This was an early one.
Is it possible that
I believe Khufu's father was the one that had this built. And the bent pyramid also.
It would create a problem for the future. So the king, which one he would like it. And also at the same time, he had enough time. So the king survived, he did not die, so they were not hurried to bury him in the bent pyramid. So he had enough time to build the other one. The answer of the question also again for you, why they did not complete the complex of the pyramid and they built another valley temple on the causeway? Because the king died before completion of this pyramid. If the king did not die, I would have believed, as they have a mortuary temple. So the mortuary temple means they should have a causeway and a valley temple. But that means the king died. And of course his son was not interested to stay here in this area. He would have completed. Or he might have used it for himself. If he knew that his father was buried in another one.
Where is the quarry for these pyramids?
Down here, this place. The quarry is here, in this area.
Can we go up there or no?
Yeah, we can go closer, why not? The pyramid again.
And so was this one.
And so with this,
And there's the pyramidion that sat on top of this pyramid.
I'd like to see what the slope of the pyramid is.
Yeah, because that's decided, but that looks more...
And they're still working, excavating.
Rooms, maybe which had used, you know that each temple has rooms and has magazines and has in the middle section has important rooms and we call it chapels.
And this is a German team that's archaeologist here that's explaining to us. In each place we've had an archaeologist that's working on the temples explain this to us.
Yeah, it's how far away? It's about 10 kilometers.
They know the walls to this funerary temple are underneath, but he's bringing up a couple of tiers of mud brick just to show the the size and where all the walls were of the temple rather than excavating all the way down. And this is Tura limestone that it was faced with.
Between the cultivated land and the Valley Temple of Unas is about
and the distance between the Red Pyramid
500 meters.
And the bent pyramid over there is 3 kilometers.
Not so long.
Built all by the same person, the father of Khufu.
Yes. The ramp, when they established the Great Pyramid, they built this ramp, and this ramp is extended from Giza Square until the pyramid. Maybe it's a story, we are not sure.
Where the terminus wall was located for the Red Pyramid. All we have is just the outline that's left. We don't know how tall it was. They estimate about 8 meters. Now we're going into the Red Pyramid. And Muhammad tells us, because it's not open to the public, that we've got to have flashlights because there are no lights inside of it. This we understood anyway. And as an afterthought, he told us that it's full of bats too. So we're going to have to really wash our faces, he says, when we get out of here. There's no way to get up other than to climb up all these rocks.
Yeah, going down is going to be real entertaining.
Yes, it will be interesting going back down. The iron door on the entrance. And you have to go down sidewise and bent way over. Now we're measuring the angle of the cornerstone of the Red Pyramid. Oh, that's all right, you're okay.
What's this we? You got a mouse in your pocket?
Yeah.
You're kidding.
Yeah. I think it's the chipping on the corner. When you get here, it looks like it isn't straight either, but I think it's the way the corner has been chipped away. Creates an optical illusion.
Walking around Red Pyramid now and looking at the Bent Pyramid. It's too bad that they used this as a dumping area here. And there's a couple of dogs that didn't think we should be in here. And this is the south cornerstone, southwest cornerstone. And Muhammad tells us that all of these chips, this is part of the ramp that was built to take the blocks up. Because this certainly isn't the way the original ground was. Now I'll try it again. This is the corner block, the southwest corner, and these chips, this was part of the ramp that was built to take the blocks up, Muhammad tells us. And it's certainly not anything that's natural here. And there's Anne, and this is proof positive at the Red Pyramid. And here's the southeast corner, and it even shows some of the facing stone, the Tura lime. The rest of the stone that was used to fill is locally quarried. But the Tura limestone comes from across. So for our lunch, we were invited to eat in the suite near the Red Pyramid, and it's surprisingly cool inside of this place.
There?
Here, it's here, please. Come see you.
Oh, I was going to wash my glasses.
Here's Bob and Ann, and she's making excuses. And this is the bed. Of course, they're sitting on one of the beds. Okay, here we are on the inside of it. And they're sitting on a bed. And there's Tim, he's sitting on the other bed, no mattress. This is the cooking utensils and enough water to make tea for a couple of days. So when I repeat, you will excuse it because I want to be sure and get the picture. This is this water pipe and enough water to make tea for at least a day. We're clear out on the desert, actually, by the Red Pyramid. On the Sahara, we do have some vegetation. So out on the Sahara, we still have some vegetation, you see. And now we're about to walk across the desert to the bent pyramid of Seneferu, Khufu's father, who built the Great Pyramid. And this really typifies the Sahara. And here we go.
Nothing around it. And it's closest to the vegetation.
And whose pyramid again was it?
I beg your pardon, sir? This is Amenemhet II. Amenemhet II.
Amenemhet II?
Yeah, but this is from the Middle Kingdom. This is
Middle Kingdom,
12th dynasty.
Is that the one, the tomb chamber's underwater?
Yes.
Okay.
We're now just about, well, maybe a little over halfway to the bent pyramid from the red pyramid. We had to park the van clear up on the hill and walk the rest of the way.
You go up about 4 feet past the lower part of the entrance and straight over.
And still some facing on the bent pyramid because it wasn't of high quality and was a long ways away from the village. And there's Bruce thinking about trying to get up there to the opening to get in it. And
well, let me go up there and take a look, and if I'm wrong, go.
Let me show Mohammed something for a second.
Oh, okay.
They're sure trying to get over there to the opening.
It's a mud brick or something.
Watch the animals in the
rod.
I wouldn't stay right below David if I were you, Bob.
Well, looks like he's going to make it.
Me either. I'm not.
Bob? Bob?
And David did make it.
What?
They call it rubble.
Can you get by?
Yeah.
And Bruce trying. And more of the bent pyramid of Seneferu. The military walls are behind me about a half a mile with the guards watching. And we can't take pictures toward any military installation, and that's understandable. And this is a stone on the northwest corner of the pyramid, and it just really shows the bevel good.
It's beveled in.
Yeah.
And the face is so flat.
How some of those rocks are holding in, I don't know. And this shows how sharp the original corner was and on the bent pyramid. But at this angle we can't see the bend that's part of the way up to the pyramid. Now you can see the decided bend in the bent pyramid. For contrasting size, you can see Bob walking down there. Just mind-bending the immensity of this thing. And this is a subsidiary pyramid to the bent pyramid. Could he have had only one queen? And this is the opening into the tomb, the subsidiary tomb, and I'm pretty sure it was Hetepheres, who was the wife of Seneferu, the mother of Khufu, of the Great Pyramid. And we saw her tomb opening in Giza, about 100 foot deep, where that beautiful table came from. One very noticeable thing that we have around here, and that's a paucity of people. And little kids and camels. There's just nobody else around but us.
By your foot? I'll tell you, we tried this with ropes with Sue because she goes up to like a spider.
Yes.
Bob and I found it wasn't all that simple.
Frank, are you getting all this? Yeah, man, you're a good guy.
I'm documenting it.
Are you?
Yeah, he's going. He was going
Before you can title your documentary "Dangers of the Pyramids."
The pyramid curse.
No, if the pyramid. Well, I think Frank could make a lot of money.
Pyramid follies.
Sell it to CNN tomorrow. Frank, CNN will pay you a lot of money.
You bet.
Opportunity picture now.
Right.
You know the person who photographed the Association of Sadat, before they took him to the hospital, he was early. He took cars for the time from Alexandria to Marsa Matruh, the boundary of Egypt and Libya, and he flew from Libya to Italy. And he operated in very close, and he made $1 million American dollars in 6 hours.
Well, you can certainly see the smog area today.
لو تراجع ما ترجعش من هنا ما ترجعش من هنا ارجع من العقلية السليمة طيب مش عايز
This is the Sahara Pyramid at Abu Sir.
Oh, it's right there at the ground level. In fact, it actually, look at this, it actually
And you
slopes.
can see the
It actually slopes
over
up.
200 meters of causeway
Water from running in.
that would come up from the Nile during
And also,
flood time.
this is interesting. He seemed to be very interested in water.
Anybody want to look at anything?
Because it says, okay, let's see, I'm on, it says here, there's a drainage system in the temple. Rain falling on the roof was carried off.
Do you have this book? Do you want it?
So this is again the same directions coming from east to west.
Up there just a little ways.
And it was approximately 200 meters, so about 620 feet. This is the length of the causeway. And we believe actually that it was even designed and decorated like the causeway of Ones. Sailing. And they used the people whom they're supposed to wait for the funeral here, such as a high priest of the area or any of the assistants. They had something like a shelter for them supported by 4 columns. And it was all painted, designed from inside and outside. This is the same style of all of the shelters, such as the one of Beit Osiris. I'll try to refresh your information now, your memories. You remember the Beit Osiris and Tun el-Gabal. You remember the Mausoleum of Bet Osiris? It has something like a terrace outside. So there was a landing stage here in this area. On one of each corner there was a shelter. It's supposed to be here in this place. And most of these fragments come from it.
And this was part of the Valley Temple where the Nile would flood up to this point, and they could float the blocks and then take them on up the causeway, which is over 200 meters, 620 feet, right straight up to the pyramid. This title is also what's over my bed in the hotel. Also the goats that are up on the roof of that house over there.
Now let's view the mortuary temple.
And in the mortuary temple, after about, I think, 4,000 years, look how sharp the Tura limestone still is. And the flood came right up to here. I can just imagine the pomp and ceremony, taking the coffin of the king up with the new king and all the retinue of weeping women in their colorful regalia, and the drums pounding, and more and more and more people coming to complete the funeral procession. And the moaning, the sounds, must have been amazing.
Some of these, for the bottom, I guess there was a layer or two of granite at the bottom of the pyramid.
And this is the mortuary temple of Sahara.
They actually have in situ where they're
all of this
up
granite
with a slant,
came from Aswan, about 800 miles up. We're north of Cairo here.
Okay, this is all the chisel marks from the question.
This was either the inside of a block or showing the chisel marks, how they broke it loose from the quarry, or else it's an unfinished block. Now I rather imagine this is the backside. And hieroglyphs on the column. And this is a cartouche of Sahara.
Yeah, this is Sahara.
Here's your scepters, Bob.
He carved it with his own name.
This is given life
It has
stability.
very, very long crook on it, though.
Well, you just read it.
I took a picture of it.
Okay.
Jet Ankh and Jet also.
What scepter?
So yeah, this is the
Jet pillar.
Backbone of Osiris.
The
right.
backbone of this is the jet pillar. Yes. So given life, eternity to him. S. This is like F, like to him. Then Neb. Neb means the pure person. It's coming from Nepal, which is called an pure. Then Herem Eve Ek Jet, the one who speaks on behalf of the god. Because he said here, Sani Sut,
It's king
son
of
of the
Upper and
god.
Lower Egypt.
Yes,
I wasn't over there before.
Sani Sut, and Nibu Sahara.
Can you move just to the right, Harry, just a little bit for the contrast?
To the shadow.
Yeah, you get
Can you
your
move back
shadow
just a
off
bit?
of the cartouche so that he can see.
There we go.
What is,
Thank you.
what does this sign mean?
And this actually reads, the one who speaks like God.
So this is the outer hall.
And this is the kind of remote area where the book says we have to keep our eyes open with non-public to keep the horned viper or the cobra in check or scared. We could run into one if we didn't watch where we put our feet or our hands.
2 levels
And
right
huge.
here.
Those stairs are cut right into a huge block,
Yes.
aren't they?
They cut into the same piece.
Amazing. And look at the quality of the hieroglyphs on that block.
Excellent ones.
Absolutely magnificent. The bird has all the horse has all the feathers on him.
And the details of the tail.
And the details in the little baskets have the...
And this is a sarek that was used previous to the cartouche. The reason it has the color is powdered glass that's glued into it, and it stayed these 4,000 some years, even though it's in the sun and the weather. Beside the
This one near to us, the black, that's the entrance.
the pyramid, this shows the distinction, sharp distinction between the red land and the black land, Kemet.
Well, let's see.
Put 1 foot on each side. And the black land is the gift of the Nile.
Yeah.
I had that one way out of focus, so I'll try it again. This is the difference between the black land and the red land, the desert. The demarcation is sure sharp.
Well, yeah, it is if you get up and look at
The black land being the gift of the Nile. That's the Sun Temple over there.
Now to
And it just shows you the desert. Absolutely sharp. And this is the entrance to the step pyramid. Just kind of shows you 10 pounds, 5 pounds, 5 pounds, 25 for video.
Or they can go
Just to give you an idea of prices of coming into this area. The coats. Putting their bread in the oven. And this is a burial hole for the king inside of the pyramid that they've excavated from the top. There's Professor McDonald down there at the bottom. He probably never get out, but we'll always know where he was. Can you imagine those poor ancients bringing those blocks all the way up here? And we even had trouble with our footing getting up here. Showing more sharp demarcation between the green and the red. Or they call it the black land and the red land. And they're still quarrying the limestone from here, just as it was in the old days. And looking across the big hole to Giza, and then on over for a good shot of the pyramids. And this is a solar boat pit. They really dug it deep. And a temple, and there's a whole hill of potsherds over there. Symbolically, they would sacrifice the pot to religion. Petrie was the one that excavated this. And another view of the pyramids, close to sunset. Now we're at the British Museum, or correction, the Cairo Museum. And this is the Armand statue that we had in Denver during the Ramses exhibit. And here we have the main flower of Egypt. And also the papyrus. And the top of an obelisk. The museum is just now opening, and I don't know what Dennis is talking about. And that looks like Sekhmet on the right, Ramses in the middle. And I don't know who would be on the left. Maybe it's Osiris with the wasp scepter in the mummified clothing. And by the looks of it, it's going to be wall-to-wall people like it usually is in the museum here. And it costs £10 to get into the museum. That'd be a little over $3. And they want £100 for the video camera, so I'm just going to check it. And they want £10 for a normal camera. I think I mentioned before that they wanted £100 to take the video in the museum, so naturally I did not do that. This is the Pyramidon, or Pyramidion of an obelisk, or it's called the Ben-Ben at the top, emulating the spot of land that Ra stood on when the flood went down. Muhammad tells us that there are over 3 million artifacts laying down in the basement of this museum that they just can't display. And so he's for allowing artifacts to foreign countries to be used as ambassadors, so people will become interested in Egypt to come over here. And the Sphinx of Ramses. There's the old boy's cartouche. Usur Ma'at Re Setapen Re. That was his throne name. And these are the pharaohs of the Tanis area. And the pharaohs of the Memphite area, which is around here, the main pyramids. And then the Thebes or Luxor area. Hatshepsut is spelled oddly, and Ramses is spelled oddly. Merneptah, Ramses' son, is spelled different than we usually see it. And the lotus blossom is open. Very pretty. This is the central cemetery of Egypt. Over 1 million people are buried here. And because there's such a shortage in housing, the people are living in amongst all of the graves. Down in the bazaar now, and it hasn't changed one bit from 1975. This is a holiday for them, so there's a little more color around here. That's the water boy. He just finished rinsing out some glasses to give to somebody else. Mass confusion. Laundry day also. How about that? This is down in the bazaar. And another view of the bazaar. Shiite holiday, and that's why there are so many colored lights around.
He was right after the first intermediate period. He put her together. But he got in office in a sneaky way. I think he poisoned the guy before him.
Amenemhet enlished.
He was a priest.
And still excavating inside the hard way.
But Hetepheres is actually his name, right?
Well, it's just nomen, prenomen nomen.
Yeah.
I say it again, the name?
Hetepheres.
Hetepheres Amenemhet.
Because that's the only way I'm going to remember it, is if you say it on the film here.
Oh, okay.
Hetepheres.
No, Sehetep. Sehetepheres.
Oh, okay. Hetepheres.
Which means what? The heart of Ra is satisfied or something like that?
They're excavating, and it looks like down underneath is about 50 feet. Just a vertical shaft.
خش رمضان.
All this right in a graveyard. Beside Muhammad up in front are the chief inspectors, one of them from Licht and the other one from Saqqara that wanted to come down with us today to see this part of it. And this, they claim, is part of the ramp to haul the blocks up to the pyramid, because this type of material is certainly not normal to this area.
Not a ramp. This is excavation piles.
Excavation piles? And today, odd enough, the wind is blowing from the south. Normally it blows, you can see by the smoke over there. Normally it blows from the north so that the feluccas can go upstream, up the Nile. So there's a big front up in Europe, and apparently this may have something to do with that. And the rainy season's supposed to start in about 2 weeks, and that might have something to do with it.
These blocks right here, they were reused after that when they built the main entrance up, and they paved it after that. They permitted only a very small one down here, and we believe.
To show how the pharaohs take from each other, the granite was from the Old Kingdom, taken from one of the other pyramids and brought to here to make this one.
Yeah, well, you look at Bob's size, he always picks the biggest.
And the rest of this stone was quarried locally. I'm now standing on the top of the pyramid, looking west across the Sahara. Now looking north. And to the east. And where they're doing some excavating. And Bob down there trying to determine whether, just how it was constructed. He just hollered something, but I can't hear him with all the wind. This pyramid is perhaps the worst condition of any pyramid we've seen so far. And this is the entrance. And Dave, what did you see down there?
A room, big shaft.
Stay
water
there.
At the bottom.
Water at the bottom?
Water at the bottom. Dennis accidentally kicked a block and it fell off and plunged way down and splashed in the water.
Oh, be darned. How about that? Now there's Tim, Bob, Dennis, and Dave up on top of the pyramid. Just above the entrance. Some of them are still down inside. Tools of the trade. Pyramid built by Hunai, Dynasty 2599 to 2575 BC, completed by Seneferu in the 4th dynasty. The original height was 93.5 meters. Originally there were 8 steps to the entrance to the north, 21 meters above the ground. The corridor, 51 meters, leads downward about 28 feet to the burial chamber. And the Pyramid Meidum. And this is a mastaba that's about 150 yards away from the Meidum pyramid. Mastaba means bench in Arabic. I'll bet the wind is playing havoc with this speaker. And this has to be the causeway, bringing them all the way up from the from the flood area. And all the way up to the entrance. Some stories have it that this pyramid collapsed at the same time that it was being built, So there are probably hundreds of workmen's bodies underneath all this rubble. That's one story at any rate. Just kind of a pretty view from the Meidum Pyramid. To get some idea of the size also, there's Dennis and Dave up there. Because of the smooth facing of the block, some in our group feel that this was built as it was intended to look just like this, as a step pyramid. We went down in this mastaba, clear to the center. I would say probably at least 100 feet in and a good many feet down, almost in a stooped or a crawling position, and then had to take a ladder down. We went in the thieves' entrance, and they didn't make it any bigger than they had to just get in. Beautiful granite sarcophagus inside of it, but no hieroglyphs, or we don't know who was in it. And these are stone coffins. And more of them. And then here's a carved stone sarcophagus from Abusur. I believe I pronounced that right. Looks like black granite to me. And there's Anubis facing both ways, both on the lid and also on the main body.
Well, I'd say the simpler stuff. I just felt a drop of rain.
Yeah, it is raining a little teeny weeny bit.
How about right in front of us here? See the circular mark on the rock? There's some peck marks to the right of it. No, this is peck.
Look up from about the 9th one from the left. One block.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
I see it. Mm-hmm.
Well, this is going back down from the Pyramid of Meidum,
It is now
the part that fell down.
Hour and a half drive back to
Well, we're up here this morning at Saqqara, and we just finished having tea with the chief inspector. We're waiting now for a key to get into the pyramid. And this morning also, because of the rainstorm and the wind is blowing good, and it's probably about 65 degrees, believe it or not. This is all an area here at Saqqara of the First Dynasty, about 3200 BC. Now going into the outer works. Now the lights are on. This is the original timbers over there inside the Zozer's step pyramid.
Another film and I'll convert it.
And this entrance was made during the 26th dynasty.
This is an interesting.
The main entrance is down below.
Your hot shoe maybe isn't making contact? Or one of the
Right down in there is the original
I like the
entrance.
one rock. Here, go ahead.
No, that's okay. That's all right.
The other camera doesn't work.
Right.
I want to know if the 400 works.
And then the very bottom
Okay, on this one it should be 15th
of the tomb.
at F35. So it would be 30th.
And these are some of the timbers. And it looks to me like about 70 or 80 feet down there.
It's 28 meters.
28 meters? Thank you. Mm-hmm.
For this trip?
38 years.
Dave could hold on to me.
And these are timbers that was put in the 26th dynasty when they came in. And then the original timbers across the way. And I don't know if this will show, but this is the tunnel with 26 columns that was made during the 26th dynasty when they came into the Pyramid of Zoser. They unlocked the doors to allow us in, and then they locked the door after us to keep the public out. What a privilege. And this is the entrance in the Dozer pyramid that we just came out from, and they've locked the door again. Now we're up there studying some more. Muhammad can get us in any place, it looks like.
By the other, see where the other hole.
All right, so it was probably full of rubble up to the base of that. It's angled on the top of the rubble.
I can't understand why some of these rocks were under an overhang. How they're holding up, I'll never know. And these fellas are chipping away at the blocks just like they did years and years and years ago. Dozer's pyramid was the first one built of stone. Of all the pyramids up till this point, they were mud brick. This pyramid started out as merely a mastaba, and then Imhotep, the king's architect, who eventually turned into a medical man and a priest, and then was revered for many, many hundred years after that. He designed and built this. And this is a mastaba. And actually, the way the pyramid was started. This is the main entrance to the pyramid originally. Pyramid and the complex around it. Now we're getting amongst people again.
The Pyramid of Zoser, they have learned also the way how to bury the mummies down in a very deep shaft like this. So they cut one of the very deep shafts like this one for one of the generals of the 26th dynasty. That's the same period. Then underneath, one of the Egyptologists, his name is Zahi Saad, discovered some of the furnitures and also the sarcophagus of the general. This is one of the generals in the army from the 26th dynasty. And we have learned some information how they load the coffin down inside this one. This shaft or this tomb is connected by 3 shafts behind this group of people behind them. They cut the shaft first of all, and they fill it by a very soft sand like this one, very fine sand. Then they put the coffin on top of the sand. Then they start moving the sand from down. So when they move sand, the coffin will go lower, go down and down and down until they move all of the sand. Of course, when they move the sand, they put it in baskets and they take it up again using the ropes from here. So the sarcophagus will be, they can load it down, and it's very safe, never been damaged at all when they move the sand from underneath of it until they got it in the bottom. Then they push it after that to the burial chamber. It's the same thing also for the heavy things when they load it down. That's the way, or this is the, what should they call it now, the ancient Egyptian scaffolding, so the elevations.
Elevator.
Yes.
One-way elevator.
One-way elevator, yes.
How deep would this be, Muhammad?
10 by 10 by 25.
By 25 meters?
Yeah, 10 by 10 by 25 depth.
Now, once again, this going down into Unas. I've been down there before, but now it's closed to the public, but they're opening it up for us.
Yeah.
This pyramid is closed for restoration, it says here, but they're just opening it up for us to go down and see the pyramid texts. The problem getting us out, because the public clamored wanting to get in, so we had to come out just one at a time and then scatter.
For a few minutes walk, few Egyptian minutes walk through the desert.
Jeffrey Martin. Look at the size of that block.
Jeffrey Martin's dig is right over there near those buildings.
He left a message to the people coming after him, said, I would have loved anybody to come after me to complete, because I discovered a lot in this pyramid and there's still a lot inside it. And the pyramid has an enclosure wall similar to the one of Khufu, right here it is. And of course he has no subsidiary pyramid and no complex, there's no valley temple and there's no funeral temple, just only a pyramid. The buried pyramid because its level is lower than all of the pyramid.
The Pyramid of Sekhemkhet, the first pyramid in all of Egypt, was this one right here.
And this is the second person after
Sekhemkhet.
And this is the wall completely enclosing the Pyramid of Sekhemkhet. And is much like the same wall that it completely encloses Dozer's step pyramid. This entire area around Saqqara is probably the oldest area in ancient Egypt, going back into the Archaic. And the bent pyramid and the red pyramid that we were at, let's see, day before yesterday or yesterday. Can't remember if it's Thursday, it must be Belgium.
Yeah, you can.
The original garland is still in here, laying on top of the sarcophagus.
This is the whole dinner.
Really? Here, Bob.
Really, this,
No, that's not it.
look at the slot here.
Did you see the jar here on the top of it, though?
No, the original reef.
Yes.
I mean, that's...
You know, that jar has something in it, too.
Is it? Was that there
See the
originally?
reef over there?
Yes, that's the wreath. Here,
I said the
here's
jar, was it?
The jar that's still laying on it.
Muhammad, here's the picture from Khafre.
There were pigeons in here too that kept flying around.
That's it right here under the glass?
Yes.
But this is an alabaster
Oh,
coffin.
the original pigeon.
And when they opened it up,
Carefully,
they didn't
it's,
find any
what
body
is it
in
we
it.
get from pigeons? Psittacosis, pigeon fever.
I'll get you in a picture.
This is part of the restored causeway up to Unas pyramid up above there. Causeway where they brought the procession, brought the body up to be buried all the way from the Nile flood stage. And the causeway makes a turn right here. And here comes a fellow that wants to going down into this tomb. And the paintings, everything on the wall have been preserved by putting glass over it. This is once again locked, not open to the public. And then just by the hat that you can see down there, there's a ladder, and you can go down 2 people by 2 and see the actual mummy still laying in it. And the mummy has been uncovered, and the feet and the nose, everything just absolutely perfect. And this is a dust storm that's just formed. It's coming up. From the west. It'll be here in just a few minutes. John and Judy will remember something like this as soon as it gets here, when it completely obliterated the pyramids of Giza. See how it's moving across. I can't remember the name of it, but it's Kamseen, something like that, a dust storm. We're in the Fayoum this morning, in an ancient Roman town dedicated to the god Sobek, the crocodile god. One of the mud brick homes. I imagine that the holes in there were for poles for a roof or even a floor. It's hard to believe that out in the weather that these are still, that they still exist, this much even. Actually, we're on the edge of the Fayoum. You can see over there the oasis.
That's what they say when you go to Hawaii. If you pick up a piece of lava. Legendary, but nobody.
And more of the ruins of the Roman Greco town.
We took the local commuter plane.
Pyramid power.
They took the elevator.
Pyramid power, yes. I've learned to levitate.
Now, is this...
And this was an altar and a niche over there for the god.
But nobody working it, right?
Nobody working.
This was
A view of the
originally what?
Fayoum from the
Crocodilopolis?
temple.
Yeah.
This was? This
Yes,
town was
yes.
Crocodilopolis?
I think this was Karanis, was the name of it, but the whole area here was dedicated to the crocodile god. So how can you tell their bedrooms?
Huh?
Good guess?
Well, they're very small rooms with no windows whatsoever, and that's the way the Romans slept.
Mm-hmm.
The Italians
Are they? It's not to work for them because everybody would like to have something.
اطلع من هنا
نطلع كده.
اطلع قدام المباراة.
More of the ancient buildings.
this area and the high officials, none of them had his tomb here at all. You remember most of the tombs, they are in Bani Hassan. Most of the tombs of the monarchs of this area and the overseers and even the high priestess and the scribes, they ignored all of this area and they went to Bani Hassan. And they have all of the tombs, rock-cut tombs, one in the cliff. So nobody...
Hawra, here at the Fayoum. And the pyramid. The Pyramid of Amenemhet I, here at the Fayoum. All made of mud brick. And I understand that it used to be 300 and some feet high, kind of melted down by now. Tombs of the nobles and officials during the reign of King Amenemhet III. Some of them reused in the dynasty 17, 18. Also there are tombs, and I can't quite read the rest of it. The Crocodile Cemetery is 500 meters to the northeast of the pyramid. So all of these mounds are tombs. And this tells about the Pyramid of Hawara. Amenemhet III in 1884-1797 BC, 12th dynasty. The entrance is to the south, which is unusual. Most pyramid entrances were to the north. And this was the area of the labyrinth, which you can see was extremely large. Good many acres and held 3,000 rooms, built by Amenemhet III. And Muhammad tells us the reason that he chose this spot for the labyrinth was he was the one that built the great canal from the Nile all the way into here and made this the breadbasket of the country. It extended clear beyond those trees over there. Now that I probably have it focused a little better. This is the labyrinth which extends beyond the trees. And the reason that he built this here was because he was the one that built the canal that brought the Nile water into the Fayoum and made this the breadbasket of the country. All of these mounds of shards are broken on purpose for religious reasons, offerings. Just mound after mound after mound. Some still with some painting left on them.
Can you focus in on this?
Let's see, hold them around just, let's see, 4 feet. Yeah, both sides of it, huh?
Both sides are blue.
Okay. Holding pieces of time, you say?
Mm-hmm.
Would it be a plate?
I think this would be a dinner plate, maybe. If you extended it out.
Might be.
This is the entrance to the pyramid, but it's blocked and there's no way we can get into it.
And you say, I'm very glad I got it. This is the great shower. Then it's empty.
Is this
then you just
Petrie
go
difference?
into us. You come to this
Oh,
area
good.
and it was locked by one piece. You cannot get inside until you just
Thank
push
you.
it up. When you get inside,
Yes.
I would say the...
I mean, those are so narrow.
What'd you say you think that is, Dave?
This shell came off the pyramid. It's eroded out of the mud brick from the pyramid. I'll see if I can find another one and confirm my theory. That's the only way a little bit of shell could get here is from the Nile mud.
There's one right here. Is that,
Okay.
is
in
that
there?
stone?
That's just the shell.
No, no, it's a little cut.
There's a little piece of...
And this shows the straw that's in the mud brick.
I assume so.
And the brick is gradually melting from this. In 4,000 years, it's down to where it is today.
Sifters to sift out grain and stuff.
Oh, herbs. That's another thing that they were supposed to be famous for. It's various herbs and spices.
The end of it, Frank.
In Mecca. I don't think that thing would fly, but
That's right. Look at
The Hun Pyramid.
Turn around, Robert.
Tea time. After the sure time. Hold the line.
It's too hot to go.
Take your tea, take your time.
maybe we should save the bottom ridge or something. That's pretty thick for concrete.
No, they're building a building, I think. Core stuff. Is that right?
We just saw
Yeah.
two.
Oh,
Those
you're
two. I think
going
those are
this
the same two we saw out in the fields over it.
Very likely could have been. This may have been the same.
The lake in the Fayum.
Is it that,
Pretty good sized lake too.
yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, in Lahun where it's right back here somewhere. Yeah, maybe it's just build it up with it. Yeah, I think you're right, good.
Because I filled it.
Excuse me.
Yes. Well, here we are on the Oberoi, just at Luxor, across from the valley. You can see across the way. This is going to be a very pleasant trip. The boat is comfortable. And the food was good, so far. And now we're in Karnak.
I think one side of the Sphinx.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are in front of the main gate of Karnak. The first tower, or the first part, called here. Common ground. People have visit. Common people.
Shows how the columns were made. Actually, the drums were rough when they first set them up, and then they carved them. And this is the mud brick that they used to go ahead and make the gates with. Or that is, to get up there to set the blocks.
Et puis alors ça continue par ici. Represent the king himself.
Ramses himself.
On status, see the name of the king.
And the start of the hypostyle hall.
So maybe you ask how we know this one, how we know Hatshepsut, lady, female, and so on.
The double ankh on one of the columns, indicating the living life in the Karnak hypostyle hall by Ramses II. And this is another one around on the same column, a little bit farther around. Each of these columns has a story of creation with the god Mena. And this is the Rekyet bird in the basket with his arms up, dua. All the people of Egypt worship the Pharaoh. And still color on the underside.
Egyptians treat
of the hypostyle hall.
Columns mean God. Number 6. There was 174 priests.
The goose and the god above Sarva. And this is his throne name, Usur Ma'at Re Setfenre. And a little further around on the same column, following Sarva, is Ramses' name. Rames Mary Amen. And still more color on the underside. And this was in the 1200s BC. This is Hatshepsut's obelisk. At one time that was entirely covered by electrons, the gold and the silver. The two columns, one with a lotus and one with papyrus. And still even some color in those.
If you could get those.
Sacred beetle, the scarab. Finally, a picture with not so many people in it. Back at the hypostyle hall. And this is the sacred lake of Karnak.
See the woman with the creation and the clothes and cows and water buffaloes over there.
Can you stop long enough to get a photograph?
Sure.
Please.
We don't care for another people, so don't worry. We have time.
How are you doing today?
A typical village. I was talking to my camera. And here we have Abydos. The town just outside of the temple. In fact, I'm standing on the steps of the temple. There's the souks, ever present. This temple of Abydos was started by Seti I, the father of Ramses II, and he died before it was finished, so Ramses II finished this temple for his father. And they're the cartouches of Seti the First.
Hier ist zumindest eine Schlacht hier. Sehen Sie auch hier vorne die Reste von einer Streitwagen. Schauen Sie auch überall die Feinde und so weiter. Hier auch, es geht noch weiter.
And that's a view of the temple itself.
Ramses hier ist groß abgebildet. Schauen Sie auch unter seine Füße.
You hear every language here. The guide speaking to everybody.
Stimmt nicht. Das macht viel Propaganda.
خلي بالك من نفسك خلي بالك من نفسك والمرشد اللي معاك
This is the god Thoth, or Thoth, pouring libations or life, their ankhs, all the way across and down Seti the First, the king, and Horus doing the same thing from the other side, pouring life over the king. And here on the right is Ra-Harakte, giving life to Seti the First, and Anubis on the left, also giving life to Seti the First. And this is Ra-Harakte giving to Ramses the three symbols, the Ankh, the jet pillar, and the wasp scepter. And this is the king giving an offering to Osiris. And those are all the Ankhs and the wasp scepters. Ra-Harakte.
And then we've got another over here.
And the wasp scepter, the sign of power, and the Ankh, the sign of life. Surrounding Osiris. This may not show very well, but these are all the cartouches of all of the kings. And this is Ramses II as a boy, and Seti the First, the father.
To the throne, right his family, own family in his temple. So Seti I, he writes all names of his generation, predecessor, from first, second dynasty to the 19th dynasty. So those names, 5,000 years. How many kings? 76 names. First, second dynasty, old kingdom, and middle kingdom also, except the Hyksos period, 200 years. Because she's a woman, but she was ruled Egypt 18 years. She wasn't named here. But her tomb had the value of the tomb of the kings. She buried with the men, not at the value of the tomb of the queens. She cut her tomb at the value of the tomb of the king, because at Luxor they severed the queen and kings too. Another name, Akhenaton. Why? Because the ones who changed the religion, Amon to Aton, and replaced the capital from Luxor to Tel Aviv. If he changed the religion, he believes only one God, then he's not Egyptian. So no cartouche of Akhenaton here because he's not Egyptian. And his tomb not being found yet. At Tel Aviv, Akhenaton. So he's a new kingdom, 18th dynasty. But no tomb at the value of the tomb of the kings, because he placed the capital nearby Cairo. The last name, Tutankhamun. That's the reason why the king probably didn't succeed and found his tomb at the value of the king. Because it's not a reality. He's not from royal blood, but become king because he married the second daughter of Akhenaten. So also, there is no Akhenaten name and no Tutankhamun name because the brother-in-law of Akhenaten himself.
A little more of the local life. And here we are at Dendera Temple. Dendera Temple. Temple of Dendera. There's the Temple of Isis here, the Temple of Hathor, the Sacred Lake, the Sanitarium. And there's a Coptic Basilica. And this temple is dedicated to the god Hathor. I should have said goddess Hathor.
Asian copy and the relief copy is hieroglyphic even in art. Completely different than Egyptian temple we saw this morning, or it was started by the column number 8 and 9 and completed by Queen Cleopatra, number 7. Because you know we have 7 Cleopatra. The last Cleopatra, you know, Mark Antony there and the tablet. So completed by Cleopatra. Knew the goddess of the sky. She was swallowed the sunrise to give birth to the night sun, not to the day sun, to give birth to the night sun, which illuminated the temple of London.
And this is up on the ceiling.
So goddess would worship the Greek Romans to raise the sun to the sky. You know why? Because they constructed a temple along the River Nile, in the west bank of the River Nile, except one temple on the east side of the River Nile, and this is we go.
This pretty well shows how the Coptics, when they came in here, destroyed the gods because of the religion and the fear. So they chiseled out their faces and chiseled out their bodies. And this shows how the blocks were keyed together so they wouldn't move. I understand put wooden keys in. We're up on the roof of Dendera now. And we'll go up still another story. And there's the mud brick wall all around it. And it's my understanding that these are the various Cleopatras. And I think there were 7 of them. Before the Cleopatra that reigned with Mark Antony. And this is the other temple that is here. And now I'll go over to where the Sacred Lake was. And there's where the Sacred Lake was, where the trees are growing. And various shrines. And that must go down into a tomb. And a couple of columns of Hathors. And the sun with the 2 cobras and the wings of the bird. And still colors. And there's the backside of what's left of the gate of the Temple of Dendera. And so this is the scene as we go up the Nile back towards Luxor. Fields of Carcadet that makes the good drink. The red in the blossom. And there's more Carcadet. Makes a good drink, either sweet or not sweet, either way.
But I don't know that Bob is going to come up here.
I don't know. Ah, come on and slap it some more. That just means we're coming up on another boat in the Nile. And the sun sets again on another beautiful day. Well, it's worth a try. I don't know if this color will take now or not, but the smoke and the haze and after sunset and after we've had tea, it's about 5:30 now. We're about an hour out of Luxor. Well, hopefully this will take.
It looks just
That
like a picture
is
book, doesn't it?
Beautiful, yeah.
I wonder if that's a bird or a person kayaking.
And we're on the launch now going over to the west side. That's the boat. Probably the most colorful boat, but it's an old boat. Well, I don't know if it'll show, but that's the balloon up over there. Probably going over Deir el-Medina now. It's awful hazy. And the sun is just tipping the horizon. Well, there's the local ferry and the little town or village that Saeed lives in. This is what I came over the other night on.
200 tombs have been found.
A tomb in the Valley of the Queens. Over there, they're reworking the tomb of Nefertari. All of these are other tombs. The colors inside are beautiful. In the Valley of the Queens, on the east side of the cliffs. And this is Senedjam's house in Deir el-Medina, and we're going to go into Senedjam's tomb and have a look. But with all of these people, it's going to be a lot different than when we were here before. The baby says there were 86 houses in here. And there's a temple up there at the top. That's where there is a mummy that anybody can pick up and handle if they want. This is a small pyramid built over one of the tombs just above Senedjam's tomb.
Maybe the guardian, the tomb itself. Number two, maybe the other dynasty or the successors of the king.
And none of these tombs are open to the public. Still tombs of the workmen. This village was for over 400 years, so there were thousands of people that Queen Hat's temple.
Together some of these.
There's the queen suckling at the cow, giving life or getting life. The Ankh, the Jid, and the Hawas in a net basket. Over and over and over again, all over here. And the twin Colossus of Memnon. Never seen so many people. The towns and the tombs on the east side. And you can see the trails going up. This is a closer shot. Our boat docked right over here by shore, but this is where we got off of the ferry to go up to Syed's house. In fact, this is where we got the taxi cab, and there's the ferry. I don't see any cows or goats on it. There's a bunch of bicycles, and there's a motorcycle. And this runs every 10 minutes, back and forth, this ferry. Drying their clothes on the bank. And the bulls down in swimming. In fact, they're just cooling off. It's just amazing how people have lived like this for thousands of years. Haven't changed much at all. Scaring fish into their nets, slapping the water. You see that all the time. Well, it's prayer time again. A day, starting at 4:45 in the morning, and leaving Luxor behind, and naturally you have to show what it looks like up on the top deck with a swimming pool, and of course deck chairs, and even under canvas. A bar up in front, but only soft drinks. Kids swimming and playing in the water. Well, another boat is passing us going down now. This morning we saw Senedjem's tomb in the Deir el-Medina, and the other little tomb that's down beside it, and then we went to Hatshepsut's tomb, or not tomb, her temple, and then we went to the Valley of the Kings, and we went into 3 of the tombs that weren't very crowded. Most of the people, there's so many people, the tombs were crowded. Ramses II, his tomb was, or Ramses III, his tomb was closed. King Tut's tomb was closed. And Tutmosis III's tomb was closed. But we did into Senusert. And we also got into the last king of the 18th dynasty that appointed Ramses I. And so much sugar cane. Well, they're staying cool, aren't they? We're headed now from Esna after we left Luxor. And this is the dam at Esna, and we've got to go through the locks, continue on up to Esna.
How much?
These guys are trying to sell things out of the boat, tossing things up.
Duck, 8.
I just threw this one on board and the guy's going to try it on.
I think you better know, friend, I never made school 11. Rugby, ball, cricket. Wait! Okay, I'll give it to you.
Some pretty tablecloths.
A ver, sería. Voy a tirar agua,
These guys are just tossing these things up here. Go ahead. And we have tea time. Well, I don't know if you can see that in this. There's a boat that's just ready to come out of the locks at Esna. We'll be going in next. There's about 8 boats behind us waiting to go in. And we'll be going up about 30 feet in the locks. Seems like it takes forever for one boat. Well, here we are, morning in Esna, ready to go see the temple. Loads of bananas. They grow an awful lot of them here. That and sugar cane, cabbages, and this is the town. Looks like it's built partially on a hill. And last night at 11:30 we finally got through the locks. It probably took 3 hours, boat after boat after boat, and it took at least an hour and a half for each one to go through. That's the dam over there. And here the Temple of Esna. This just shows how far down that they had to dig from the city in order to uncover this. Apparently just the top was showing. Some of the mud brick wall that was built all around it. The Esna Temple. This temple was dedicated to the creator god Ankh. It's a Greek-Roman temple, and the last leader was a Roman about 250 AD. There you can see Sekhmet on the left, the goddess, and Amen in the center, the ram-headed god. And who they're facing, I don't know. We should have some of this kind of paint today. It has lasted way over 2,000 years. And this in the weather too. The cartouches of all 9 kings, Roman and Greek kings, are all on this building. This particular house just outside of the wall, our guide tells us, is over, well, it was 250 BC, they estimate. And those clay pots up there stacked on top of each other look like a wall, but they just glued themselves together over a period of time. You can see how the wall is cracked on the building beside it, which is a more modern building. The columns in this temple show the Roman Greek influence. The capitals are more Corinthian than anything else. And there's Rabe over on the right, Thoth in the center. And apparently the king, with the tail giving an offering to them, and Thoth is holding the box scepter, which is a little unusual. And in the next register, Sobek the god, the crocodile god, is holding the scepter. And here's something very odd. First time I've ever seen the right leg crossed and held up.
The last ruler of the first 30 countries has shrine.
The Tomele ruler doing a ritual dance. I don't know whether I duplicated this or not. This guy's got a cobra down there that he keeps pulling out.
Look at there.
And out it comes again. Show the people, hoping that they're going to have a little, give them a little money. I sure wouldn't handle a snake like that.
You've done that all day, you got it back. Does it look like a young boy? Why is Percy not in school? He said they go to school half, oh yeah.
He said some of these you in the morning begging, actually go to school in the afternoon. No, these came back yesterday, this morning. I hadn't done yet.
Ah, be careful.
Amigo, si la foto. Si la foto.
And this is Edfu, dedicated to the god Horus. See how deep the figures are cut. And there's old Horus there. Well, I tried to get Horus without the people. Now I can get him without people. Okay. That gives an idea of what size it is.
This is the holy
Eine Nachmachung von einer heilige Barke. Das ist.
And this is the end of the story of Horus and Set. Finally, Set was turned into a hippopotamus. Horus finally got it over his uncle. All kinds of Khaleesi's.
Okay, Monsieur Indian.
Going back towards the boat.
Wonderful people. Now, I require your great attention and much respect. You are in the court of the great god Amnon, a god to be respected and feared, and not a god of fun. I trust I am understood. But first, for the great god, we have for his pleasure some entertainment. I give you the great god dancing girls for his great pleasure and for your entertainment. My dancing girls, please. And the music, please. Some young, some it is true, not so young. Some it is true, very, very old. But it was the best I could do, not enough bakish, great God. You do not pay me enough, but never mind. Dance for the great God. What's the problem, great man? Do we have a problem? Problem? What problem? No problem. No problem? You come to dance, you come to party, you come to dance. What did you come for? We have a slight technical problem here. The rumors I hear of war, are they rumors or are they true? True. Oh, they are true. Much tribulation. The men who go to war. Often go to war. The men have gone to war. The women have no men. Great sorrow. Much wailing, much gnashing of teeth. Wail, much wail. The ladies have no men. We have much trouble. The men go to war. What are you going to do, great God?
I will take great pity on all the ladies with me.
Dat is een horenkijk, hè?
Oh, great God! Much magic! Much clever! I think we have great problem when men come home from war. I do not know what to say about this great magic. I hope men do not see this. Oh my God! Release the man!
What has happened?
I don't know this great magic. I never taught. Great God. Come on, great God. You and I, we go and talk together. Stop your business. I have the secrets of the great God's power! I have the great God's power!
Good morning. The Temple of Kom Ombo.
God's man.
And this is Kom Ombo. There are two temples here. The East Temple is dedicated to the god Sobek, the crocodile god, and the West Temple dedicated to Horus and his family. The crocodile god in the middle.
The yeast has 12 months.
And there's Sobek still with some color on him. And though you can't see down it, but this is the Nile meter. And actually the Nile would come up even over the top of this during flood in the old days. That's probably about 30 feet down there. Actually, tame little birds live down in there. Quite a few that are living in the rocks around here too.
See the same instrument. So this is the god of medicine, Esculapius, and sit and worship as Imhotep, the builder of the step pyramids, you know, of the father Esculapius.
And these are the souks just outside of Kom Ombo. Now that would be a fun boat to be on. I don't know the name of it, but even the crew get weights on you, the galley and so forth, all dress up. We're in Aswan now. We'll have 2 more nights on the boat, but there's the Oberoi Hotel, where I've stayed before. So many cruise ships now. I understand there's way over 100. Sure ought to be terrific for the economy. I never saw that many before. Chalupa tacking into the wind. And another one also. Seems like these guys can do just about anything with those things.
Right. I put my name on it, so you remember.
It's speed seeking tomorrow. So I make tapping myself today.
Right. And so you can still attack.
Still attack.
Isn't he gorgeous?
Oh yeah.
And this is the crew.
Today you have to relax and sail to Lukarai.
Then we'll send it to the roof.
And there's Beep Beep.
Beep Beep. Okay,
And
okay,
there's
madam,
the
no
Oberoi,
problem.
where we'll be staying.
You'll be, yeah.
I had seen pictures of this.
Nice picture.
I know.
Sure.
Thank you.
How old did you say the tombs were?
21st century BC. 4,000 years.
Okay.
They're new.
Another around another side. Just in the
These are not real old.
No, not real old.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, heron.
Yeah, heron, yes. The big one, heron, and small one, ibis. You know, ibis worship that the god taught the wise and wisdom and purification.
Well, there's a good shot right on the horizon.
That's a nice shot, please. You can see the rocks and bird and flowers and catch you know, remember
Looks like a house built with cans and mud.
There were water buffalo?
Yes, and cows.
Well, I knew there were cows. I
From
didn't know.
Africans.
Okay.
The Aga Khan's villa down there, and the Oberoi Hotel across Kitchener's Island, which we'll go to next to the left. And we're almost to the top here to Aga Khan's mausoleum. where a rose is put on every morning, 365 days a year. This is the Aga Khan's mausoleum that you must take your shoes off before you go in because of the polished marble. It's polished granite sarcophagus with a rose on it. He was born in 1877, and I believe he died in 1957. He'd married 4 wives and only one is still living. Starting in on the bazaar. Now we're starting up the street of souks or markets. And the street is souks.
I would like saffron.
Spices and medical needs. And this is making bread. And it's warm, and they've given us some bread here too. Yeah.
He said not to give him any more, he gave me 5 pounds.
Oh, all right.
I'll do it anyway.
Inside one of the stores. Squeezing sugar cane. For a drink of liquid. Goats right through town. This is not just souks for the tourists. This is actually a marketplace where all the groceries and market produce is sold. They sell just about anything. If I didn't say it before, this is the marketplace for the souks in Aswan. Queen Hat's unfinished obelisk would have been way over 100 ton. And then they couldn't use it because it had a crack in it. And this at Aswan is the main pink granite quarry. And you can see where they have taken their blocks off. And looking at the unfinished obelisk from the other end. And then naturally the ubiquitous souks. This is the first cataract just below the old dam above Aswan itself.
You see, you can see the beginning of the River Nile. The River Nile just branches, that's the short water right here.
And this is the hydroelectric on the old dam.
You can, the water comes high above the high dam one day. It has happened. And during the flood, they let the water through the turbines under bedrock of the body.
Of course, naturally, we had to take the African queen over to Philae above Aswan. Philae was one that floated down in the water, would have been submerged, so they brought it up and placed it on this island. And then look closer to Philae. Philae, the word means pearl, and this was dedicated to the goddess Isis, and was lifted up out of the water on another island in 1977 by an Italian crew. Over 700,000 blocks by 100,000 people, and it took 30 months to do the job. And the last people that were here was of the 31st dynasty. Notice more Corinthian than anything else on the columns. You can see the high water mark just above Hathor's head, that during the normal flood of the Nile. But then when the high dam was built, it was entirely covered with water. So they had to build coffer dams to hold the water out while they moved the temple up to this island. And once again you can see how the Copts defaced all of the gods and the king.
The left-hand side completely damaged. See the Ptolemy who started from the temple, his name Ptolemy number 5, is standing and hold his enemies. You see his enemies facing the king and facing the goddess. And their faces are the faces and kneeling position between the god and the king. And the king himself depicted as the pharaoh smite them to kill them and reduce them to the goddess of the temple, Isis.
And the Coptics wrote their language and also made the Christian cross. And this was about 400 AD, he tells us, after the Romans left. Trying to get some of the water marks off of the wall. And this is how the Coptics just cut out the cross out of the symbols of the wasp scepter and the Ankh. And this is the dam where Philae was before they brought it up and placed it on this mountain. And there's our guide smoking the water pipe. Shaki. This is the low dam that was started by the British in 1899. So far the temperature stayed beautiful around here. I think we've only had one day at about 90 degrees, and it's a little cool this morning with a breeze. But the temperature has been terrific all the way through. So far. We'll see what Abu Simbel has. Well, we're back at the unfinished obelisk again for the granite, trying to see if we can see any good quarry marks. And these are chip marks, which are different. Looks like maybe they were trying to figure out the size that they wanted before they dug down. I'm on top of a piece looking down from where they quarried quite a good sized piece, probably for a statue. And there's another piece. I don't know why they stopped, but they were just about ready to take that off. Maybe when the kingdoms changed and they no longer did statues. In the Nile during flood time would come clear up to where the buses are down at the bottom of the hill. So they didn't have to move these too far before they got on the water, just one time a year. And Bob, he's taking pictures of the marks over there. It's more fun when you can come to a place where you can spend time rather than just as a tourist. This whole area here in that depression where the road is was all filled with prime granite. So there were an awful lot of statues that came out from here and floated down as far as, well, probably all the way down the Nile. Kind of gives you an idea of the size of it. And this shows the difference between the weathered granite and the good granite. And more quarrying took place over on this side, just over the top of the hill from the unfinished obelisk. And that's the boat that goes across every 15 minutes over to the Oberoi Hotel. That's the only way you can get there is by these boats. There he is again.
Sort of a big pit.
And up there is a rebus of his name. There's Ra, the sun god on his head. And the boy is Mes. And he's holding Usur in his hand. Usur Ma'at Re there. So that's actually a rebus of his name.
From here, they were down below. After building the high dam, by appealing from the government of Egypt and the UNESCO, engineers came from all over the world. They came through 5 international companies, an Italian, French, Swedish, German, and an Egyptian company. They first built a Khafre dam in front of the 2 temples to hold the water back. Then they cut the 2 blocks you see on the ground in front of the statue, the upper part, but it's just a piece of the head and a piece of the crown. Between the big statues, there are small figures represent the royal family. Between the legs, the children, by the side, the wives of them. Above the entrance, the figure of God Rahu Rakshi, God of the rising sun, shown in a human body, with a falcon face and a sun disk on the head. In the very top, there is a row of little figures. Up on the top, those are baboons. They noticed that every morning when sun rises, baboons usually crying and jumping. They believed that baboons were worshipping or greeting the rising sun every morning, so they made the baboon as the representation of the sun worship. You can see them more clear on the left side. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we will go to see the inside of the temple. You will have the ticket of the Great Temple ready to show the guard at the entrance.
Horus sitting out in front. Really weathered, aren't they? And his wife between the 2 statues. And these are the statues. There are 4 on each side. And these statues on this left side have the crown of Upper Egypt. And the one on the right, the ones have the crown of Lower Egypt and Upper Egypt. And still some color on his face, his beard strap, and eyes, and the cobra still on his head. This is all covered with sand. That's the reason why most of them are in a good condition. That's Menhamen over there, the fertility god. Made it so we could hit this in the morning because of for the shadows. The last time, a 1.5 years ago, we got it in the afternoon and everything was in shadow. There were nothing to bring out the depth in it. See, on his shoulder is his crown name, Usur Ma'at Re, Hetepheres. And they brought this up 64 meters. And it's 200 meters in farther to the west than it was originally. This is the depression where they brought the statue out from, only it was down a lot farther than we can see in the lake. It would have been totally covered by the Lake Nasser when they filled it up. And then over now to the temple Ramses had made for his wife, Nefertari. The only place where Nefertari statue was the same size as Ramses in all of Egypt. Usually she stood by his legs not even as high as his knees. And there she is, Nefertari. The small statues that are by his knees are his children. And you can note that the lock of hair over on one side, which denotes children.
In which the temple was cut. So, after you...
This is from my room looking west and north in the Oberoi Hotel at S1. Beautiful hotel. I've stayed here one time before. There's something really graceful about those feluccas. They're tacking upwind now, or upstream, I should say. Well, upwind also. This is a beautiful bougainvillea right on the grounds. Another shot of it. You've got a beautiful garden here.
Prepare their items for sale.
Typical view of this village out of the train window. Oh, she's got kind of a pretty looking dress on, hasn't she?
Mm-hmm, she really does. Bright colors.
Yeah.
Look at the little kid on the mother's
I know, with
lap.
that